here's the most important sentence of this entire video. Access to transportation is the single most important factor in an individual's ability to escape poverty. That is not a subjective claim, that is a fact that emerged from a Harvard study.
All right, so this is a video by Wendover Productions. I'm gonna leave a link to their channel in the description. This video is called "Why Public Transportation Sucks in the U.S." And it just goes over the history of transportation within the U.S., public and even private. And yeah, let's get into it and come on the other side and discuss.
America is the country of the car. It grew up as the car grew up, so its cities were built for cars. Think Dallas, Phoenix, Los Angeles. You can't survive in these cities without a car. Remember, the United States is centered around the idea of personal freedom. With a car, you can go anywhere at any time. So politically, cars have historically been associated with the idea of personal freedom. Just like the Republican Party votes to have strong national defense, allow gun ownership, and preserve small government in order to promote personal freedom, they have always worked to promote the usage and ownership of cars. That means they often voted in favor of subsidies helping the auto industry, most often in the form of indirect subsidies lowering the cost of gas. Now, that was fine when cities were small, highways were new, gas was cheap, and climate change wasn't even a concept. But that's not the case anymore. Cities are just of a size where they literally cannot support their entire population driving. You can't fit more road infrastructure in many cities, but you can fit more public transportation. Cars were available to the common American much earlier than the common European, so the US set road policies early that allowed for large, smooth, and well-functioning roads. While the US was building its magnificent roads, Europe was building their public transportation systems. The high car usage in the US even has to do with zoning. You see, European cities tend to have less strict zoning laws which allow for businesses and housing to intermingle. The US zones its cities much more strictly. Houses are next to houses and businesses are next to businesses, which means that the distance between houses and shops in the US is much greater. Therefore, Americans have to go further more often. The most demonstrative fact is how the two places approach parking. In the US, zoning laws specify a minimum number of parking spaces per building. In Europe, the laws specify a maximum number of parking spaces. The three cities with the three lowest car ownership rates in the US all have something in common. Boston, New York, and DC are all old, rather compact cities with decent public transportation systems. Since they were cities before the car, they're built much more like the European cities that have such good public transportation systems today. Simplified, public transportation gets worse as you go further west since Western cities are newer. But here's the most important sentence of this entire video. Access to transportation is the single most important factor in an individual's ability to escape poverty. That is not a subjective claim, that is a fact that emerged from a Harvard study. Someone who lives right by a subway stop is astronomically more likely to find a high-paying job than someone who doesn't have a way to get around. Individuals in poverty generally live in poor neighborhoods with few job opportunities, but with reliable, accessible, and inexpensive public transportation, these individuals can get all across their city to where the jobs are.
All right, so there was a lot of information in that short amount of time, in my opinion, and the overall arching theme I want to try to get across on this with these videos is the answer to some of these problems it's a lot more complicated than even the left gives it credit for, right? So, for example, this transportation issue, I recommend deeply actually going and watching his original video, because he actually goes into what happened with GM prior to the whole before car manufacturers started to get into the fight, and how GM actually bought out a bunch of rail car companies and turned them into bus companies. And it gets very interesting, and how the war had to do with the Industrial Revolution had to do with a lot of this too. It's very interesting in the beginning too. This is just more relevant to today, right? And the point I want to make is how inextricably connected a lot of these different parts are to, especially eradicating poverty and things like that. Like there's the system at large is very similar to the defund the police situation, right? If you look, there are pockets of society that will be left out strictly because of the way we've chosen to zone our cities and our and our residential spaces. Like, for example, somebody like me who, if you have this is perfect. If you have a felony, you're more than likely going to live in a poor area because that's the only places that would actually even rent to you, right? So let's say you're a felon, you stay in a poor part of the neighborhood. It's of course residentials with residential, businesses with business. So if you don't have a car, you stay in an area probably outside of city, outside the city a little bit. All the jobs are in the city. And also the food, because like I said, the residential is split from the actual commercial businesses, right? And we don't think about the connecting factors of there's been studies prove that your gut bacteria may influence your mood and behavior. So let me show you this example here. So how your gut microbacteria may influence mood, behavior, and all kinds of different things. And this is from Psychology Today. I'll leave a link to this article also, but these are just little things that people don't connect with, and it's like, hey, why are we not solving these issues in society? Where are all these mental health issues coming from in society? There are people literally starving out here. You know what I mean? Eating, all they can eat is like right now where I live right now. The closest thing to me, I can't drive, so the closest thing to me is there's a corner store up the street. And all there is like honey buns and chips. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing really healthy there. They get some bananas every now and then. If you don't grab them that morning, they're pretty bad. So like that's the closest thing to me. Everything else is about a hour and a half to 2 hour long ordeal, maybe 3 hours long, because I got to go walk to the bus stop, wait on the bus, catch the bus, get on, go shop at Walmart or whatever I'm doing, carry the stuff back to the bus stop, wait on the bus, get on the bus. Like it's a long, since there's not. Our transportation here is terrible in Texas, our public transportation. There's not a lot we can do, right? And like I said, I just wanted to kind of link these different aspects of society together because there's a lot that we have to solve in order to get a lot of these problems, in order to actually get real change. And I think some of these other aspects get lost in the shuffle of all of the super sensationalized stuff that comes on regularly every day. So this is the type of stuff that regular degular ass people like me deal with every day. It's hard to get to anything I need to get to, long story short. And yeah, man, so I kind of just wanted to draw attention to this video more than anything, and I feel like it's very informative. I feel like it's a very informative video, and yeah, so I do implore you to go check it out. Wendover Productions does some great videos over there, and to knowledge is power, and understanding what's wrong leads to actual finding real solutions to these problems. So yeah, it's always things never are rarely ever surface level, right? So this takes deep diving into it, and I'm gonna leave it at that. If you like what we do, man, make sure you support the podcast, support the co-op Marty and the Bro. If you go to martyandthebro.com, we actually have a page on there called the Dope Shit page, where we post up all kinds of videos we've collected over the years that are really informative or interesting, and kind of if you ever don't have nothing to watch, you're trying to find something interesting to watch on YouTube one night, man, go pop up on martyandthebro.com and go check out the Dope Shit page channel, and we'll definitely have something interesting for you over there, So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Yo, you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials, links all down in the description, and let's keep rocking.